The vile, despicable Julian Malema, a black supremacist who for years has been stoking racial hatreds and no doubt racially motivated killings at mass rallies like this one, chanting, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer, shoot to kill."
Shoot to kill! Kamaza! Kill the Boer! The farmer! Kill the Boer!
So, Mr. Ramaphosa, your lenience with criminals echoes everywhere in the world. This is South Africa we are talking about. You allow for these things so you don't offend your partisan base. Those are the same people who come out to vote for you whenever there is elections. And so you wouldn't want to interfere in their businesses.
Trump wasn't about to let them off the hook.
But why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up in Parliament and started saying, kill a certain group of people, he would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people.
So this sort of BS on CNN would cut no slack with Trump.
What Julius Malema was singing, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," was an anti-apartheid song from the struggle against white minority rule in South Africa. They've explained that this is not a literal attack, call to attack and kill the farmer, because of the historical nature of that.
Right, so just to be clear, when you have packed stadiums of tens of thousands of people chanting, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," it doesn't actually mean kill the Boer, kill the farmer. Got it. Okay.
When a person commits crime and easily gets away with it after a few months or years behind bars, what message do you think it leaves out there to the public? My own friend in South Africa was gunned down and not even an investigation was started because nobody...
Guys, two fierce videos we are going to be watching on this particular video, and for me it's a big lesson on why we must continuously keep studying the white or Indian or the colored minority life in South Africa. Because the more I listen to many African narratives speak about South Africa, it almost appears as though that they present a South Africa that is dominated with only black people. And, you know, it's a thing I find problematic, especially, and this is one of the reasons why I created this channel, to really understand what it is that, you know, how people are beginning to understand South Africa. Because I've always had a clue that we in Africa do not know South Africa. We don't understand. When you go through the comments on Kwazeme here, you see the coloreds arguing about being excluded. You see the whites arguing about being excluded. You see many Indians arguing about being excluded and all of that. So, but then the wider Africa seems to understand South Africa as though it's a country that is being dominated, and that it seems that there's only a black majority having an experience of life in that land. So I think it's really interesting that we continue to study and understand the lives of the whites, coloreds, and Indian minorities as a South Africa, that this was the basis for South Africa stepping into independence, or what we would call a democratic era, from 1994 onwards. So in this video anyway, there's this really interesting Sky News host I found that really was trying to take the fight against Julius Malema. His name is Rowan Dean, and from his perspective, you could see the anger from him coming to really argue that it appears that as though we are dealing with a black supremacist. So it's for me that term really makes me laugh because we've been inundated a lot with white supremacy, all right? So to see the emergence of a term called a black supremacy, for me, it's really funny, because it's a struggle to imagine how it's possible that racism or racial oppression could actually be flipped, whereby in our lifetime we could see the possibility of a black supremacy in challenge, or probably in contradistinction to what has historically been known as a white supremacy. So Rowan Dean really, you know, speaks a lot about, you know, Julius Malema, and it's really funny. And I don't know whether to say fortunate or unfortunate that the EFF has gone global by this event, this video that was played in the White House, and many Americans now seem to really be taking the EFF has become something that's being spoken a lot about on the world stage. So Rowan Dean actually almost describes the EFF, and I think personally Julius Malema, arguing that what we might be dealing with here might be a black supremacist. And for me, it's mind-boggling. Let's quickly watch that video, and I'll be back with a hotter video by a Ghanaian who is actually trying to deconstruct the problem of crime in South Africa, shifting the blame now not to the EFF but to President Ramaphosa, but for being soft on crime, to the point where I think his close friend in South Africa, I think in his presence, was shot, going forward. And this frames how the black Ghanaian, because you see Ghana is actually one of those nations that got independence in Africa on March the 6th, March the 5th, 1956. Going forward, we saw Ghana with the likes of Kwame Nkrumah really building hope for the black populace in Africa going forward. And from then on, we saw country after country gain independence. I think South Africa was even the last by 1994. But now we see this black Ghanaian, throwing very fireful video. I really applaud you guys to watch to the end, because I think he has lived in South Africa and he's trying to deconstruct the problem of crime from a perspective of a black man or black person, who is not South African but living in South Africa, shifting the blame to President Ramaphosa for not being probably, active enough in trying to curb crime in South Africa. So while it appears that there is a white populace, probably in the United States, that sees the emergence of the EFF as the emergence of a black supremacy, we see a black Ghanaian, a black in Africa themselves, seeing the whole problem with crime and white farm mothers in South Africa from the perspective of the president, who is also black, President Ramaphosa, not being able to tackle crime in South Africa. And for me, those two divides in the analysis just makes me really ponder on how it is we can address this whole issue about white Afrikaners, Afrikaner refugees, and farm mothers in South Africa going forward as Africans. And share your thoughts, guys, in the comments.
Last week on this show, I spoke about the terrifying plight of South Africa's white farmers. I showed you the packed stadiums of South African political figures chanting, "Kill the Boer" and "Kill the farmer," as others described how they wanted to kill white men, kill white women. I showed you the long avenue of crosses representing slain South African farmers, the majority of whom are white. And I described how, with only the rarest exceptions, much of the world's media refused to report on this appalling situation. But clearly, someone was paying attention. 2 days ago, in what is increasingly becoming the greatest show on earth, Donald Trump, obviously a fan of this show, used the Oval Office to not only give a national leader a deserved dressing down, but to put the story of the plight of South African farmers in spectacular fashion, front and centre, to the entire world.
Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are.
Yes, it was the greatest surprise slideshow in the history of the White House. The lights went down, the screen lit up, and the audience of South African dignitaries squirmed in their seats. What was on display was everything I, but sadly very few others, have been talking about for years. The vile, despicable Julian Malema, a black supremacist who for years has been stoking racial hatreds and no doubt racially motivated killings at mass rallies like this one, chanting, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer, shoot to kill."
Shoot to kill. Kill the Boer, the farmer. Kill the Boer, the farmer.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa squirmed in his seat while he tried to work out what the hell to say, while his delegation clearly wished the ground at their feet would swallow him.
The farmer, kill the Boer, the farmer.
Oh dear, yes, indeed. Trump wasn't about to let them off the hook.
Well, why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up in Parliament and started saying, kill a certain group of people, he would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I hardly saw an empty seat.
Yes, if anyone knows the power of a political rally, it is Donald Trump. He even knows how to spot how big the crowd is and how many empty seats there are there. So this sort of BS on CNN would cut no slack with Trump.
What Julius Malema was singing, "Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer," was an anti-apartheid song from the struggle against white minority rule in South Africa. They've explained that this is not a literal attack, call to attack and kill the farmer because of the historical nature of that. But it's been weaponized by groups in South Africa and increasingly by the MAGA right in the United States to essentially misrepresent what is going on in the country.
Right, so just to be clear, when you have packed stadiums of tens of thousands of people chanting, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, it doesn't actually mean kill the Boer, kill the farmer. Got it, okay. Here's a thought. Maybe CNN could get an acoustics expert from the New South Wales police force to explain to their viewers that Julian Malema and his mob were simply chanting, where's the Boer, where's the farmer? But I digress. Trump wasn't finished yet. After showing that horrific aerial image I showed you last week from 2020 of white crosses down a long avenue honouring murdered South African farmers, Trump got down to the specifics, despite Ramaphosa's attempts to shut the conversation down.
We've never really gotten underway with that, and we are going to be doing so.
You're taking people's land away
we have not.
From them. And those people, in many cases, are being executed.
And Trump was on a roll.
Death of people. Death. 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 Horrible death. Death. I don't know. To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all, I'll give these to you.
In desperation, Ramaphosa turned to his white colleagues to disprove Trump's allegations. These guys wouldn't be here if what you're saying is true, Ramaphosa said, somewhat ominously. But even that backfired.
My dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer. And yeah, some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going. My brothers run it. But it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away.
Donald Trump stands as one of the most extraordinary and effective politicians of our time. Those tragic individuals, many of them so-called conservatives, politicians and commentators alike, who suffer from acute Trump derangement syndrome, have no idea what historic times we are living in and what they are missing out on observing. Anyway, for years, some of us have tried to bring this horrific issue of the South African farmers to light. I've had farmers on the phone to me from South Africa in tears each time I've raised the issue on either this show or on Outsiders over the last 9 years.
There's nothing you can do, there's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care, we can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not?
Must never be scared to kill. At some point, there must be killing. Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer.
That is the tragic reality. Don't believe the fake media telling you otherwise. Let's leave the final word to the White House. Now that all of this is exposed, hopefully, it might even get fixed.
This is a very serious situation. And if we had a real news or real press or media, we don't have that because they won't talk about this. But if we had a real press it would be exposed. And you know, the beauty of exposing it is it's like a cleansing action. When it gets exposed, it'll get fixed. That's when it'll get fixed. But people don't talk about it. And I'll tell you who's talking about the thousands of people that are fleeing South Africa right now.
So, Mr. Ramaphosa, why have you been the leader of South Africa till now? Why do you run for office when the numbers of crimes since you took over is still the same? You clearly looked clueless and came off as a man with no solutions to the crime problems. The issues of crime in South Africa has never been about the lack of technology to fight these crimes, but the political will to pursue after criminals. That would have been acceptable for a country like the Congo. Your lenience with criminals echoes everywhere in the world. This is South Africa we are talking about. You allow for these things so you don't offend your partisan base. Those are the same people who come out to vote for you whenever there is elections. And so you wouldn't want to interfere in their businesses. That's one of the source of the problem. And I'll give the rest later. When a person commits crime and easily gets away with it after a few months or years behind bars, what message do you think it leaves out there to the public? My own friend in South Africa was gunned down and not even an investigation was started because nobody ever put you to the wire about the deaths of black people in South Africa. Nobody really questioned you like Trump was doing. You never took it seriously. Now you are being checked on the lives of white people in South Africa. You are throwing in the deaths of black people to equalize the whole thing. Does this make sense, ladies and gentlemen? Do we elect leaders to solve problems or to point to other instances to justify their lack of performance? There is zero hope in these types of leadership all across Africa. I'll tell you. If the president of the best and most powerful black African country is acting this way towards a world leader, how have our own president from our small African countries acted when they go there to meet these powerful presidents in the world? I love every bit of what Trump is doing in terms of bringing the cameras in to put all these people on the spot, because most times we have zero idea what these so-called heads of states of Africa actually say there when they meet them. This now makes me wonder, when these African leaders meet world leaders, whether from America, China, Russia, or anywhere in Europe, what actually transpires in these meetings? Because I'm tempted to believe they go there hoping to kiss their butts, shine their shoes, and help them with their laundry. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I'm wrong. We are very fortunate to have a president like Trump to expose all these weak and soft politicians who happen to be in a position of leadership in Africa. What has been your plan, Mr. President of South Africa, to curb the crime rate in South Africa? South Africa has everything it takes to take care of its internal problems. This is not even about external or territorial matters. It's internal, and you are seeking help from America. This is a joke, Mr. President. Do you know a country called El Salvador, ladies and gentlemen? Do you know their president, Bukele? Did you know they were in a worse criminal situation than South Africa was in 7 years ago? And do you know the same El Salvador is now the safest country in all of Northern and Southern America, only behind Canada? How did he, one man, achieve it? For a president who took over at age 37 and was surrounded by hardcore gangs and ritualists across the country of El Salvador, how did he do it? The same America, led by Joe Biden at the time, castigated President Bukele of El Salvador for his approach towards bringing order in his country. But today, this same America under Trump just invited him and even struck a prison deal with him for his excellence approach, which is proven effective. Ladies and gentlemen, what are our leaders doing? Your problem is, even if the best solutions are gifted to you, Mr. Ramaphosa, you cannot implement them for many partisan reasons. You have just handed over South Africa to America. You have just done that. Did you see what Trump did the moment Ramaphosa mentioned that they need America to help them with their crime situation? Ladies and gentlemen, watch Trump's body gesture in this video.
Because there is support that we can get from you and the United States to help us deal with all these acts of criminality. And that is what I believe partnership is all about. And we are here as a partner so that we can help each other whenever there are challenges.
Exactly. Trump smelled blood in the water. He knew he had to just apply a little bit of force to get you trapped. Trump is the best negotiator I've seen on live TV. And I know he will eat South Africa alive when the cameras aren't watching in a negotiation. He is going to help you with what you are asking for in exchange for something priceless from South Africa. Trust me. People like Trump is the kind of guys you like to have on your team and hate to see him on other teams. He's going to be making serious demands for essential minerals in South Africa moving forward. You thought the white South Africans had captured the lands in South Africa? Wait till Trump concludes on his negotiations with Cyril Ramaphosa. The details will definitely come out, ladies and gentlemen. See how Trump has negotiated the minerals of the DRC over protection. African leaders are so weak and clueless, it hurts to watch them open their mouths and talk. This is the same Ramaphosa who talks tough when he meets the BRICS nations. What a joke. I'm sure Putin is sitting in his Kremlin saying to himself, I knew it, while shaking his head. I wonder what President Xi Jinping of China is thinking about your performance in America. Ramaphosa, I wonder what Xi is thinking. I'm very curious to know whether the big countries in the BRICS nations weren't able to assist you with the fight against crime in your country. Putin has successfully tamed Russia. Did you ask Putin for help in combating crime? China is successful at keeping its country in a very peaceful state, no matter what the media is telling you. Did you discuss this assistance with the Chinese government, your friend Xi Jinping? Did you seek technology from China to help you? The games he's playing is very confusing at this point. And I always say to people, when you see a best friend in a talking relationship with your sworn enemy, always remember you had two enemies all along. One was always known and the other just got known. Where are the men of Africa with ideas and solutions? Why have cowards taken over in politics and brave men watching them on television from home? President Ramaphosa needs to allow for a new leadership in South Africa. People with a commitment to face crime head on and crush it from the very root. These are the people we are looking for. Too many guns in circulation in South Africa. Too many unpunished crimes in South Africa. Too many cases of them. Too many undocumented immigrants in South Africa. These are the places to look. Mr. President, you have to check these places. Put the police to work. The CCTV cameras in your country must work and not be stolen. The thieves who consistently steal these cameras must receive severe punishment. Ask your friend Xi Jinping of China about what he does to people who steal state properties. Crime should be unpalatable at all levels. Put the immigration to work. Enlarge your prisons like President of El Salvador did. Don't waste time on the rights of murderers who have taken the lives of other people. Be strong and be about the business of your country, South Africa. You are too busy indulging in the business of the world. It's enough, Mr. President. Take care of your home first. Be about South Africa. Do what you have to do to repair the reputation of South Africa on the global scale. Africa must solve its own problems. This idea of running to the West must cease. We are capable of solving our own problems. Learn to lead and not to preside. The wind of change is blowing and it won't stop until we see a real sustainable change. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll end it here.